Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So if you're wondering why you're watching a video about Isuka, it's because one of my good friends who I work with actually lent me his account for the weekend because it's a long weekend here in Canada. Anyways, so if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. Now the most important question.
Is she hot or not?
Oh yeah, she's hot. Just look at her thighs. Even if you go to Ultima, that's one of the descriptions that make her very desirable. Of course, not only that, but she's very elegant and very powerful as a wind DPS. So, note that she does have her new manifest weapon as well, so I'll be talking about that shortly. Her Valor Chant's pretty good as well, defensive in terms of reducing power, and int for one turn. So if you don't have Yuna or some other defensive units, that is pretty good to rotate in and out as needed. Now in terms of the three moves that my friend went with, you can see that Butterfly, Dream, and Utopia are two of the three moves. Keep in mind those are on the 5-star board, and those are the same two moves that are enhanced with her manifest weapon, which is called Innocence. Aptly named, might I add. You can also see that there are the lower versions of Butterfly's Dream, of course, which we wouldn't be using. And as well, Utopia is the XL AoE version. She does have the Tearing Flicker, which is a lower 4-star version as well. Finally, you can see she has Lunar Laceration, which is not bad, but let's be honest, we probably have more use than to put that slot in for a slash resistance -20, being that we have a lot more utilization in wind DPS teams. That being said, slash resistance -20 would help with Azami if you chose to use her at the same time, being that they're both wind DPS. And of course, hastening melody is not bad at all. Increase power and speed on your whole team by 20%. Again, note that that could be covered by someone else's VC like Amy, or if you have other things to keep in mind. Also note that when you do have only a half AF bar, activate something like Hastening Melody will take up one important move, which may not allow you to continue your AF bar as quickly. Now we're going to equip that now, and we'll see the difference in terms of the move set. So remember that manifest weapons do reduce all MP costs of their enhanced moves by about 20%. And now Utopia doesn't only just do XL damage, it also increases damage when the target is afflicted with pain, and also increase strength depending on a number of different types of debuffs on the enemy. Now the great thing about this is that if you use this on a wind team, remember that Matsukunda from Morgana does apply 3 debuffs right off the bat: speed, int, and power, so that's already gained. And you can also use Butterfly's Dream to enhance Utopia, which also applies a separate speed -50 debuff on the enemy, and piercing resistance, and type resistance, and pain. So quite a bit of stats on it. But keep in mind that I don't believe pain is considered a debuff. It's actually just called a status. So that won't enhance the damage per se. But if you don't want to use Demonic Thrust, that will also enhance Suzette's manifest weapon damage. And you can see her board there. Keep in mind that she does use a katana, and so if you are using wind type Grasta, you will have to compete with Azami and decide who is more appropriate to put on your wind DPS team. Now later on in this video, I actually will show you different battles, including using Azami on one versus Isuka on the other. Now let's take her out for a spin. And of course, being that she does have Utopia, that really makes things easier in terms of wandering around against lower mobs. She can easily clear all enemies with a single hit unless they're resistant to slash or wind. So we'll just wander around a little bit more. Note that the blue horror on the left is resistant to wind, and so we won't be able to defeat it just by herself. It'll just be a long, drawn-out battle. Even this mob was resistant to wind, and so we'll just use a regular slash to end it. Now let's beat up on our favorite boss that we can test out wind DPS damage on, which is the Gnome. Keep in mind this is the 3rd version of Gnome, of course, so if you battle it 3 times, you do get crystals that can drop to enhance your Wind Spirit Lance that you get from the end of Ogre Wars Part 2. So that being said, I'm going to start with using Azami on this team, which you've seen me use personally. And we're going to be using Wind Zone as well. So I'm going to apply Culmination Winds first, and using Dragon Assault as well as Miracle Punch, so that we have a power boost from AS Claude, being that AS Claude boosts power of all party members at the end of turn, depending on how many wind moves were done that turn. And then we're going to start with High Wind Booster and my standard Heavenly Dance, Demonic Thrust, and then, so on and so forth, Dragon Assault all the way until the enemy is finished. And we're going to keep on beating it down and keep on pressing on the AF bar button and spamming our moves until the enemy is completely finished and our bar is completely done, just to compare battle damage analysis. Okay, so 11 million, and keep in mind there is some variance, obviously, in that there are crit hits on some battles and not on others. Now let's repeat the same experiment, but using Isuka with Manifest. And no, I will use the same setup. The only difference that we don't have Culmination Winds on Isuka, and we're going to still rotate in AS Claude turn 1. So we're going to start with Utopia instead. That way we still get the 30% power boost for the whole party, being that we're going to use Dragon Assault as well as Miracle Punch in terms of doing wind type DPS damage. There we go, rotate right in. Double hit. Okay. So at first glance, the Utopia actually does a fair bit of damage, 175k, just single hit without any sort of other hits. Keep in mind that there was already one debuff applied by the by the Valor Chant of AS Claude. Now normally I would use Matsukunda in order to apply further debuffs, but in this case we're just going to test it as if we're going to use High Wind Booster first, being that helps the rest of our team a lot more. Also, keep in mind that by applying the Butterfly's Dream, the piercing resistance 20% will also help Suzette as well, doing significant amounts of damage. So if you saw, before the debuff faded, we were doing 1 million damage per hit, which is a lot more than when we had Azami on our team, when we had Suzette. Obviously, the 20% piercing resistance debuff helps do a lot more damage. But in the grand scheme of things, the overall damage is a little bit less, only because once the boss is dead and has no more HP, all the debuffs fade, and so you don't see the same amounts of damage piling up afterwards. In conclusion, I do think that Isuka is at least the same, if not better than Azami. She has more versatility because she can apply buffs, and her VC does have a nice debuff, a little bit better than Azami. And of course, hey, she is the goddess for a lot of people who like to worship the Church of Isuka. That being said, use whoever you want. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.